Good morning, everybody. So today I'm going to be showing you how to add on the legs to your Alebrije. So first off, I've already finished these other 3 legs and this one I've left open. So I'm going to show you on this one. And when I first start, I'm just going to kind of bend the leg open a little wider. Now I did this fancy design on here and it's really hard to not smear it or transfer color onto it. But one thing that does help is if you put a little piece of either the tin foil, although that gets a little crinkly, or if you have parchment paper like for baking, and you hold on to it that way over areas that you don't want to get messed up, that helps a lot. So to cover one of the legs, you're just gonna take a little slab and you wanna cut out a long, skinny little slab. Now this slab is probably about a little less than 1/8 of an inch thick. It's the thickness of a popsicle stick. And you can, if you have a popsicle stick, you can use it. If you don't, that's okay too. So let me flip this over so it can hopefully be out of the way. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do with this is once I have this, I'm going to kind of curve it a little bit and I'm going to stick it right up against the metal on the arm. And I'm just going to kind of fold it over. Now, if I made it too big, that's fine. If I made it too small, that's fine, because I can either pull clay off or I can add clay on as needed. But since you just rolled this out, the clay should be nice and soft. Now, I rolled this out a little earlier, so mine's not quite as soft, but just the process of squishing this on here will make it a little softer. So you just start kind of blending it in and pushing the clay into the clay around it and kind of blending it out. And then once you have it on there and it's stuck on there good, that's when you can start, shaping it. So you want to try to smooth it out as best you can. If there's a little extra clay in certain areas, then, take it off or smooth it into areas that need a little bit more clay. But your goal at the end is just to have a basic shape here. Okay, so I've included, I've got a little spot where the paw is gonna go. I've got my basic shape on here. Now, from the back side, this has a little bit too much clay on it. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of that off and then I'll just smooth some more of the clay to cover that little funky spot up. But that's how you're taking off the clay if you need to. You're just kind of squishing it off and then moving some of the other clay around. So now if I look at it from the front, it needs a little bit more smoothing, but it's pretty good. If I look at it from the back, it needs a little bit more smoothing again, but it's pretty good. So the next thing that I'm gonna do when I add this on is I'm gonna add the little toes onto the paws. So the bottom legs, I did the same thing. I've already bent them back, but I bent them kind of forward and then I bent them back. So I'm gonna add on the paws onto this one. So I'm gonna fill in the little toes and then I'll bend this one back so it looks like that one. So for the little toes, you wanna make 3 little spheres of clay that are fairly small because they're just little. And then you wanna make them into a teardrop shape. So just a little bit, this one got a little pointy, so I'm just gonna roll it again because it takes 2 seconds. So you want a little bit of a teardrop shape. I usually make 1 extra just to, just in case. So I roll it to the side. And now that I have this teardrop shape, I'm gonna flatten it just a little teeny bit. Now I'm rolling it on top of a piece of paper just because it's easier to see when filming. You can do this on top of your tin foil, but you'll notice on this piece of paper, you can kind of see the oil spots and stuff. If you don't have something under your clay when you're working with it, it'll leave those spots on your table, especially if you have a wood table or something. Okay, so now that we have all the little toes, we're gonna take those toes and we're gonna stick them on the end of the paw. So I stuck one in the middle. I'm gonna stick one right next to it. And then I'm gonna stick the last one, the third one, on the other side. Okay, so let me make sure you can see that real good. Okay, so there's my 3 toes. Now I'm just gonna blend, I'm gonna make sure they're stuck on there good. And then I'm just gonna blend that top side. So right here. So I'm just blending this top side. Okay. And so now I can shape them a little bit if I want to, like I can make it a little pointy, or I can leave it like that. That works for hooves and paws, any like toes that are kind of rounded, not for like fingers, but any kind of toes that are rounded. So there you go. Thanks everybody.